the thing, we were talking about business and fulfillment and all these kinds of stuff. And I do think that part of the reason we had the success that we had with Charisma on Command is because it was a dual passion. Like it was just all day we thought about it.
Oh, for sure. I wasn't reading those books so I could make videos or teach people.
Yes.
I was reading those books so that I could personally learn the lessons. And then I figured, well, if I've learned this lesson and it's valuable, I should see if it's helpful to other people. But the motive definitely first and foremost for consuming all the content, doing all the experiments was definitely a personal one.
Yes. And I think that is what put us on that.
We studied it for 6 years before we even started teaching it.
Yes. Yes. And that was why when we started making YouTube videos, we had the success that we had so quickly, I think, is because it was, we'd spent a lot of time on, the first YouTube video technically took me an hour, but it also took me 6 years and an hour to make.
Yeah.
And so the next thing, like, and Charisma on Command is doing well and people are still watching the videos, but I do think, we've talked about this, there's a leveling off of interest. And I think even the audience is like, I've heard you talk about charm and confidence and all these things. Whatever comes in my life, and I'm under the impression that I'm going to have to continue to work, is going to have that same level of drive independent of business. And I'm just, we've talked about this, trying to be aware of that and trying to open that up, because Charisma on Command, I don't know how much more innovative content I have for it unless something in my life really changes.
Yeah. Well, you're mostly training the team now, right?
Well, that is interesting to me. So this is a question that I have, and maybe one day I can make a good video. I haven't made it on purpose because I don't think I'm there yet, which is, how do you effectively train people? And, that's not a widely interested video, but I do think if I did a really good job, it could be one that was good for the audience. But I'm still learning it, right? I'm only 8 months into that, and it took me 6 years to get good at Charisma, and I'm not as good at that as I was at Charisma when we started making videos. So maybe in 5 years you'll get how to train the team.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think right now I'm working with someone to help on the writing. Actually, it's a woman from Cornell. She's a graduate, and we, at least on the video we're working on, we have novel points. They still rely on my past studies, if that makes sense. Like we're not getting to the point where I'm learning new stuff from her Charisma experience, but at least what she's helping bring in a fresh perspective. And so there's like a novel point on gesticulating that I know from my experience out in the world trying to be charismatic, but it just hadn't occurred to me to share based on what I see. Because I think when I watch, I go to the stuff I find most impactful. And so she brought a point to me, and I was like, oh, this is actually, this is legit. This will work, and it's helpful. And so I think it'll help the videos at least be a little bit fresh.
Yeah. Well, I think that's good. And then maybe that's one way to spice it up. Not that spicing it up is the point. I think the point is, I was just thinking, how do you have, this wasn't the question clearly and clarified in my mind, but as I think about it, it's like, how do you be secure in the long term? And in the fortunate position that I'm in, it's like, continue to harness the fact that your brain works on things all the time and like just like an engine, like channel that in a particular direction. So we talked, we're doing a lot of D&D. I don't know how long that's going to last. And this podcast is a result of the things that I noodle on over the course of the week.
Sure.
But, between you and I, just keep thinking about that question and see what comes up, because it just might not be Charisma forever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so I don't know if you want to talk about it on air or not. So I was thinking about this in the realm of D&D, because we were playing D&D. It's super fun, but there's Critical Role out there, and Critical Role is not the only one. There's actually tons of people that saw the success of Critical Role, and we are not first movers by any stretch. And so I was like, oh man, we can't do this. Like, not only are we not Critical Role, we're not even one of the first 100 different groups that have tried this. But that's not so dissimilar from when we started Charisma. When we started Charisma, we were the first people to do Charisma, but people were doing dating coaching, negotiation coaching. There were multi-million-dollar businesses in the area-ish of what we were doing.
It took us 2 or 3 years to get to Charisma. Like, we had to float around that.
Yeah, what are we going to teach? We're going to teach promotions. We're going to teach negotiations. We're going to teach dating. Like, it was. But so my takeaway was, okay, well, how did we succeed then in the face of going up, two dudes with no business skills going up against multi-million-dollar organizations? Was not just novel content, but a novel presentation
Mm-hmm.
on a relatively new platform. And so I think if we're going to be successful,
It was 8 years old.
yes, but I
Or
don't
more.
think that charisma people had massive success on YouTube yet.
Yes, so it was new. Yes, so the first thing you said, like a new angle for the space that you were
So
on.
one was there wasn't a lot of charisma topics on YouTube, and
Yep.
two was the charisma breakdown was not big. It was a lot of talking heads. It was a lot of people sitting in front of
The format was very
wall.
different. Yeah.
And so I was thinking, if we do become people that support our lifestyle through something related to D&D, it will probably not look like playing on YouTube with cameras in our faces. It's just not how Charisma on Command succeeded. We didn't just copy the people that were doing it well. And we're also not voice actors. We have less experience. So I think, yeah, if we're going to be successful, it's going to be maybe not even on YouTube, maybe on a new platform. But if it is, it'll be presented in a new way.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be taking a 4-hour session and turning it into a 20-minute animated, much more interesting, tighter thing that is based on our D&D sessions, but really involves recording the session and sending it to an animator and sending it to a story writer. And that was my thought. I was like, if we're going to be successful, it's actually not going to look like Critical Role.
Yes.
Because that's not how we were successful at Charisma on Command.
And well, the good news, and here's the what we didn't lean into too heavily, was the charisma breakdown got attention to our channel. Then I was able to make videos with my face on them that would have never done well where did they come first, that some of them have millions of views.
Sure.
So you could point back to the original 4-hour session if you care to, but I agree.
Well, I was just thinking,
You're not going to capture attention with that 6 people around a table rolling dice.
and even to make it interesting to other people, I see other people who want to be entrepreneurs. They want to be running Charisma on Command. And what they do is they make a copycat that looks exactly the same, that is in the same format, that just tries to closely resemble the person that they're trying to be like. And I've not ever seen that work. What works is doing something that person you admire hasn't done yet.
Yeah, go to TikTok and do the 60-second thing, blank in 60 seconds. I don't know. That's one way to do it. And then you'll have a TikTok audience, which...
Yeah, if you want to be the next PewDiePie, it's not going to be when you and PewDiePie release the same video with the same topic and the same editing and the same format.
It's not Let's Plays on YouTube where you scream loudly at scary stuff. Yeah, that's not...
Or it's not even looking at today's video is probably not that, but it's not looking at meme review and then doing a meme review. You can take the high level, what does PewDiePie do? He finds things that he finds entertaining and presents them to his audience. Okay, so I'm going to find things I find entertaining. I'll be an aggregator of entertaining content. But you're going to have to present it in a way that people on YouTube who are fans of PewDiePie haven't seen. Because if it looks exactly like his, they'll just go watch his. So yeah, that was my only thought. It's like, it's not going to be by buying a really expensive set that looks exactly like Critical Roles and sitting down and playing the exact same length game with someone that sounds exactly like Matt Mercer. We could. It just wouldn't be successful. And then 100 people have tried it. Yeah, that was my only thought.
Yes, that we would need to mix up the format. And more than that, the underlying thing that we've seen with success in our friends that have been successful, the difference between it's not working and it is working in every one of our friends, which I would say are above average intelligence, but some of them are not super gifted, is persistence over time. And that's not in the same business. It can be in like related things or bouncing over. You're a fitness trainer, and then our friends became more into jump rope, and like that jump rope angle is what really worked for them. So it would also have to be something that you reasonably thought that not am I just going to try to craft a new format. I'm also willing to stick this for 2 years while it doesn't really work.
If this doesn't make money for 24 months.
If this doesn't work, and that's, that's why we did this podcast. It was like, if this doesn't make money,
we can at least talk to each other.
I'll talk to you once a week and do it. So that's obviously, interesting to you and I, but if it does make sense, if you're out there as an audience member, I've seen that there's two kinds of people. I do have friends that, God bless them, for whatever reason, they can get inspired by the idea of building something and making money. And it doesn't.
I thought you were just saying building something because they love money.
Yeah. That's like the idea that they could earn a lot of money is enough to motivate them consistently for years, and they seem good with it. And I am not built that way, man. Like if my brain doesn't naturally gravitate towards something, I guess I have horrible discipline is really what it is. So if you're like me,
Well, in ways, I mean, you did make a video once a week for 3 years. That requires discipline.
sure. So it's not that I have horrible discipline.
I never got on your case, and you rarely missed, and you did hundreds of them. So
Yeah.
there's discipline in there. It's more like you, how would I describe it? You don't want to do work that you find disinteresting.
Yes. And I will, but there's always like some sort of combustion going on in my head. And it's not always useful to any people. In fact, it's probably not useful to me 99% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
It just runs all day. So don't worry, I'll never meditate because this is my power. But yeah, my success has only ever come from harnessing that uncontrollable interest, which has set itself on things that usually appear quite useless from a business perspective. But weirdly enough, even though it appears useless, after 3 years, eventually you find a crack. And you're like, what if we made a video about a guy talking on a talk show and broke down the 5 things that he did that made the audience laugh? That is such a weird thing to have done.
And it started with, how do I get this girl in college to like me?
Yes. Why does everyone listen to that friend and not to me?
Yeah.
Were the original question.
I just told that joke 30 seconds ago and no one heard me. And now this guy stole it and got a big laugh.
Yeah. Well, this is something I wanted to say to you, and not that you have to do it, but in terms of new content, and it doesn't have to be charisma related necessarily, but there is sometimes if you have questions and that are at all related to people that you want answered, like the OnlyFans one is the most recent example of mine, I would just encourage you to do it. I don't know to what degree they appear in your head as clarified questions, but I'm sure they're there. You just might not have noticed some of them.
Why does everyone play League of Legends, even though no one seems to like playing League of Legends?
That could be super interesting, man. That could be super interesting.
I don't know anyone that says that they enjoy it. But I know a lot of people that play it often.
So I could help you with the title there, but there's a video there that is really interesting.
I don't know the answer is the thing.
That is how you make a good video. Because you know why I don't know the answer? Because nobody else knows. And so your video will be the only one with even a reasonable attempt at the answer. So that could be a good video. And that was, I don't know that OnlyFans like changed our business but it was, I think, a solid video. And
No, it's just easier to, so for instance, in this next video that's releasing, I just did the absolute easiest ways to get a laugh.
Yeah, the surprising psychology of horrible games or surprising
No, but here's what I'm saying. So to do that video, I would have to actually do like tens of hours of research.
Yes.
In this other video, I'll just spoil one of the points. I talk about the wordless walk-off as an incredibly easy way to get a laugh. And the reason I know that works is because I've done it probably in my life 500 times in a variety of situations. And as soon as I saw someone do it on a talk show, I went, I know this works. I've done this to get attention at bars. I've done this while flirting. This is a great thing. And I know it because I spent 10 years doing it. And so when I'm making that point, I'm just, as soon as I see it, I go, I know what this is. And I've already tried it 100 times. I have no hypotheses left. I've asked all my hypotheses. And for this,
you have to
why is League of Legends so unenjoyable, but people keep going back to it? I would be like, all right, well, I don't know the answer. So that's the benefit of the back catalog of content. It's like, I've done this wordless walk-off 500 times.
Yeah. For sure. From a creation perspective, it's easier. It's definitely easier. No doubt.
Yeah, I would have to actually start from scratch instead of starting with 13 years of asking myself the question already.
You'd have to talk to people and you'd have to ask yourself the question when you were going back. You're like, am I happy?
Yeah.
And you'd be like, no. Why won't I stop? I don't get it. Not that you have to make any of those videos, but there might be some that you're interested in. I don't know. What is it? What is an example? There could be a ton of things that you are interested in. Questions like, how do I be charismatic on a Zoom meeting? You don't care. How to know if my partner's right for me? Maybe you care. How does one know if their partner is right for them? How to carry a spark years into a relationship? Like something like that. That is potentially interesting. And I'm not saying you have to do this, but this is.
But here's the weird part about. So like, okay, a video, how to know if your partner's right for you. I would love to know the answer to that question.
Yeah.
But I don't think I am qualified after a month of research even to know the answer to that question.
I agree. But you might know more considerably than the audience. And the video can be like, you can acknowledge, be like, even with the best case, you're probably one. What I realize is the partners themselves are always blind. They have no idea. And the experts are only right 85% of the time.
Oh, yeah. I'm just circling back to like Craig Ferguson, how to build chemistry in a conversation. I'm positive that that's good information because I have had a lot of conversations with women and I've coached guys on how to help improve their dating life. And it's like, this stuff is good. And I could make a video on how to know if your partner's right for you and then
feel it was not good enough.
Go through a breakup in 6 months and be like, I am an idiot. I feel like it's like you'd have to be married for 20 years to make that video.
Oh, no, you don't. You can first off, you could be with a partner that is not right for you. And that can be part of the video is you go like, one of the things that I realized is everybody thinks that their partner is right for them. So you can't trust yourself. I think that's point number one, to be clear, is your partner right for you? Most relationships fail. Most people aren't planning on them failing. Therefore, they are not good people to ask. But you could delete the video if you felt it was that bad. I could do
a how to know if your partner is wrong for you video.
Sure.
Because I've had partners that are wrong for me.
Sure, yeah.
And I did that. That was my 90 Day Fiance video.
Yes. I guess I didn't realize that this was going to be a thing for you, but you can delete the video if you're wrong. You can do your best guess. Like, I know you want to be an expert in it, but there's a degree to which...
I thought we never deleted videos.
We usually don't, but...
I still got a video up there saying Conor McGregor has a chance to beat Floyd Mayweather. I left that up there for posterity.
You can delete it. Well,
it's wrong.
Yeah.
But it's mostly about visualization. It's just poorly titled.
Yes, it was poorly titled. Yeah, and again, I think you could wisely couch your things and be like, hey, I'm still exploring this. This is my best takeaways after X, Y, and Z. And it can exist as a time capsule of a thing that, was, oh my God, that was so goofy. If I go back and look at my old videos, not that they're not obviously wrong, but like we've talked about, the underlying philosophy in so many of them, which was on our sales page, is your relationships in life are everything. And I state that when available. And I just no longer believe like that foundational piece. That's okay.
Unless you expand it to yourself.
Yes, unless you say, oh, it's my self-relationship that is also included in that. And then I go, haha, I tricked you. Relationships are...
Well, I think that's kind of the point, right? Is to get that confidence and the internal self-love and then also the external results. That's also why we have emotional mastery.
I don't think that was what I was thinking at the time, and I don't think that was what the people who were listening, because it was like, your relationships are everything. If your boss likes you, if your girlfriend likes you, and if your friends like you. I wasn't like... If the different parts of your personality that make up your core self are all in concert.
That's why you made emotional mastery.
Exactly.
It's for after you go through Charisma University.
It's like a constitution, man. It's a growing document, all right? It doesn't have to be perfect the first time. You make amendments, you go back. And again, you don't have to do any of this, but I was just, you had mentioned, I was thinking about my inability to make innovative videos in the space and was thinking, how could I make innovative videos and when have I? And that, for me, the most recent one was probably either the Jordan Peterson one, which for me was built off the Sam Harris cognitive dissonance clip because I was interested, and the OnlyFans one.
What was Sam Harris?
It was Sam Harris talking to Ben Affleck and the cognitive dissonance piece. And so I was interested in the signs of cognitive dissonance, and I did not know them all. So I'm sure I still don't know them all, but I wanted to find several that I could include in the video. And so I was looking for those cognitive dissonance clips and like studying Kathy Newman's face and studying Ben Affleck twitching in that interview and going like, how is it happening? What is happening?
Yeah.
Like,
why did you have an interest sparked in cognitive dissonance?
I thought that clip was so interesting, as Sam Harris basically says, like, there's this, it's funny. He just says, there's this thing that happens anytime you criticize Islam, people will accuse you of being racist. Now, Islam is a doctrine, and it has specific tenets, and that is not to say that the people who practice it, and Ben goes, oh, so what you're saying is that people are all, that 1 billion people? And he's just like, I don't know how I could have prefaced this more gently. And also that Ben Affleck walked away feeling like
he won.
Vindicated. Yeah.
I think the internet also vindicated him in the short term, didn't they? There's a lot of stuff written about how he came off well in that conversation.
Listen, and I think, and there is, this is a Bill Maher interview. The most reasonable criticism of Sam Harris that I've heard is that the polls that he uses to say, at one point he says, look, there's Pew and Gallup research polls that when you ask X% of British Muslims, they're in favor of Sharia law, they're in favor of this. The most reasonable criticism is that those polls are poorly worded and that they are not actually driving at what people say. But that's not what Ben Affleck, that's not the criticism that Ben Affleck gives. He just goes, this is so obviously racist. Because it's just hurting his head to be confronted with information that doesn't.
Yeah, also I was going through a rough time in his life.
Yes. And I'm not saying Ben Affleck's a bad guy. It was just, wow, like look at this cognitive dissonance set in. The Kathy Newman one. And there were several of them that were in that video. Basically what I got to, it is, cognitive dissonance is really, it's an interesting thing, but it's so, I had a greater degree of empathy for it, because basically what happens is you build up beliefs over the course of your life, but you forget the data that led to those. And sometimes that could be really well-founded data, but you just don't have perfect recall. And then you're in a conversation and somebody cites a Gallup research poll that just doesn't sit right with you, but there's nothing that you can say to be like, let me look at those numbers. Like, is there selection bias in these samples? Like, were these British Muslims that actually, you have no way to, and you don't have the logical training to break down exactly what you wouldn't trust in that thing. So you just, you just get really upset at the other person because you feel like you're being attacked for what you believe, and you can't find the supports for your beliefs. You're looking around your like mental cave. You're like, why do I believe this thing? I can't. This guy's a monster. I know why. Because you're a monster, and you're wrong, and I'm gonna leave right now because you're a horrible person. I have to go. So. And there's times when cognitive dissonance, somebody just cites a bullshit statistic at you, and your cognitive dissonance is actually doing good work, but you cannot find the reason that their stuff is bullshit. So anyways, hope that you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to see more like this and have us do more podcasts, we are 100% funded by our generous patrons. And if you'd like to contribute, there's a link in the description, and we'll have one pop up on the screen right here so that we can do more podcasts where we have fun conversations and hopefully some deep ones like this. Either way, hope that you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.